It's time for the major concert announcement. I have no idea.
We could say the number one selling artist, solo artist in history. We could say the number one selling artist the last 2 decades. We could say it's been 16 years.
16 long years.
So we could just do this.
Garth Brooks.
July 12th, Scotiabank Saddledome. Garth Brooks.
And lightning strike, standing outside.
The biggest country artist on the planet.
In the history of country music.
Do you have goosebumps?
That is huge.
Oh my goodness, I can't even believe it.
It's true. After 16 years, the biggest country music star of all time announced that for just one night, in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Calgary Stampede, Garth Brooks brings his arena show back to Alberta. You know the accolades, but for those of you not quite up to speed, here's the story. Garth Brooks, the undisputed top-selling country artist worldwide, remains one of the few acts left that can become a worldwide headline just by announcing a show. In October of 2000, Garth said he was finished with touring to devote more time to his home life, and then after falling off the radar, it seemed, Garth would occasionally resurface, often unpublicized until the event would happen, performing for charity events or to pay tribute to influences in his career. That started to change in 2005 when Garth announced a deal with mega retailer Walmart that would see a collection of his albums released for a limited time. The set sold over 1 million copies in just its first week, proving that fans had not forgotten. Fast forward a couple years later, Garth would announce a special thank you concert to Walmart based on the success of the Ultimate Collection and his newly released Ultimate Hits 2-disc set, which included the only song in his illustrious career to debut at number 1. As I was growing into my country career, there was one act I'd been following long before I ever wanted to even get into radio, and that was Garth Brooks. To me, Garth is the consummate entertainer. When there was a Garth concert on CMT, I was watching it. If he came up on the radio, I was turning it up. And if he was coming to town, you could bet that I was going to be there. But that was just it. By the time I'd become a fan, he was getting ready to announce his retirement from touring. When my time at Kissin' Country began, I started learning how to play guitar, and I always joked that my first guitar was going to have a spot saved on it for Garth to sign. Since seeing Garth live, let alone meeting him in person, seemed like an impossibility, it just made it all that much funnier. But it was in fall of 2007, after the Ultimate Hits had become a monster, that Garth announced he had been invited to the brand new Sprint Center in Kansas City, Missouri. In an effort to deter scalpers, Garth announced that his tickets would only be for sale within an area including Missouri and the states surrounding it. Kansas City would be at best 2,500 kilometers away. Now, add on the fact that I also had no way of being area to buy the tickets, I had to get creative. I started a Garth Brooks bounty. The idea was to call someone in Kansas City to convince them to buy me tickets, and in exchange, I would bring them the cash for the tickets, plus some, quote, unique and rare gifts from up here in Canada. Somehow, the stars came together, and miraculously, I had tickets. I brought some friends with me, and our next destination would be Kansas City. I drove for 3 days, 16 to 18 hours each day, seeing most of America for the first time. Sure enough, Garth didn't disappoint. We were there for the final show of a 9-show stretch, a show that was broadcast around the world. It was amazing. Driving back from Kansas City, I took every opportunity I could to call back to the radio station and share some of the adventures on the road. When I got back to work, I got a phone call from Garth's Canadian publicist. She thanked me for all the, quote, free promo on Garth, which I merely said no problem. Then she said, if you'd told me you were going down, we probably could have sent you backstage. Now, despite what you may think, I wasn't devastated. In fact, I wasn't really even disappointed. We said our goodbyes, and then that's when it happened. While I was driving home from Kansas City, the wildfires in California were just starting. As the images of homes burning down and people losing everything, in some cases even their lives, bombarded international headlines. The stories of firefighters giving their all in combating deadly flames touched the hearts of millions, including Garth. In an unprecedented move, Garth announced 2 shows at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Those 2 shows became 5, and all the shows sold out within an hour, with all the money going to support firefighters, their families, and the victims of the wildfires. Now, the funny thing about Garth is that more often than not, he likes to shy away from the media. He's notorious for letting his actions speak louder than words. I was invited to Los Angeles to come to the show, and while I could bring my gear, I was told Garth probably wouldn't be doing any interviews. Now, LA is a totally different animal. I love the hustle of Los Angeles, but it's a lot to take in over a day and a half. After getting lost in Hollywood, walking around everywhere, taking cabs and subways, we finally made it to the Staples Center. Now you'd think going into his 5th show, especially since the 4th one was just an hour prior, that Garth couldn't have anything left in the tank. Well, it was the exact opposite, as he brought everything and more with him to the stage than he did in Kansas City. After the show, we were taken backstage again. Now Garth's manager, who had served as our host for the evening, was staying in the same hotel we were. After a day of buses, taxis, subways, and a lot of walking, we were more than thrilled to take him up on his offer of a ride back to the hotel. We hung out for a while, and while I asked if it was possible to have a chat with Garth, I was told that since the NHL All-Star Game press conference was the next morning in Atlanta, Garth had to be taken from the Staples Center directly to the airport. Still, his manager was so gracious to us, offered us a few gifts of hats and t-shirts, and he accepted my offer to buy him a beer and let me pick his brain at the hotel bar afterwards. After walking us through the corridors of the Staples Center towards the parking garage, he stopped dead in his tracks and he mentioned he forgot something in the last room. And then, this happened.
I can honestly say I've never been more nervous in my life to be talking to a star right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Garth Brooks. Hello, Garth.
How you doing, Pat?
Good to see you.
All right, stop right there. People always ask me who the biggest star I've interviewed is. Hands down, Garth is the easy answer. He's been the one who has set the bar, and he set it quite high, but not for the reason you might think. Yes, he's the biggest star in country music, one of the biggest stars in history. He sold out all those shows in minutes. That wasn't what impressed me. As he came out of the dressing room, he introduced himself to us, like we didn't know who he was. He then followed it up with, "How you doing, Mike?" He took the time to find out my name. Now that's not a big deal, but this kinda is. He followed his introduction with the most humble thing any star or celebrity has ever said to me. "Is there anything I can do for you?" Garth Brooks asking me if he can do anything for me. As we did the interview, he was the pro. I'll be honest, my questions were long out of my brain because I didn't think I was going to be getting an interview. We got through it and it was a great time. He was the perfect guest and he accommodated the stumbling rookie in front of him as best as he could. I did manage to get one very important question out to him that day.
I'm pretty sure if I made a phone call and we found a worthy enough cause for you, they would donate the building. I'm just saying, well, I mean, I don't mind traveling thousands of miles to see you.
But I should come to you for a change.
If you can come a little closer, you know.
Fair enough.
Now, since that time, it's no secret Garth has done a couple other charity events here and there, and is continuing his performances at the Wynn in Las Vegas, one weekend a month, doing his one-man show. Now, this is going to sound cliche, but meeting Garth Brooks changed me that day. While the grainy video in the hallways of the Staples Center is nothing too spectacular, he showed me that no matter how big of a star someone becomes, they still have a choice. A choice on whether to let it get to their head or to be thoughtful to others. Setting the bar as high as he did, his actions also imparted some wisdom to me, which I like to carry into any interview these days. No matter how far you've made it in life, always try and take the time to remember who and what helped you get there. On Tuesday, April 10th, 2012 at 12 p.m. Mountain Time, Country 105 in Calgary and Kissin' Country 103.9 in Edmonton, the two stations which helped me make this show possible, will be sharing all the details on ticket information from the Calgary Stampede on how you can have a shot at getting tickets to see Garth Brooks live. Thank you so much for allowing me into your home, your workspace, or wherever you're watching this week's episode to share my story. As always, it's my absolute honor to be able to share it with you. And oh yeah, about that guitar that I always wanted signed by Garth Brooks.
Ladies and gentlemen, this officially is the craziest day of my life.
Listen very carefully to what he says as he hands it back to me. Thanks again to Bob, Anya, Alicia, and of course, Garth. Hope to talk to you again sometime.
Thank you. Now, Mike, dude, if you've never played one of these, here's a little simple hand, okay?
Okay.
Hold one, all right?
All right.
Just like this.
Okay. Hey, I'm a big wrestling fan, so I get that.
This way. Hey, this one feels good. That's great. Thanks for letting me sign it.
Yeah, thank you.